Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? Thanks for joining us again today. This is the latest in the US webinars. My name is Dave Eckroyd. I'm the director for IDEA StatiCa in the US. As you see, we have Andrea, our product engineer, and Jan, our regional engineer for the Midwest, involved today. So you'll probably be hearing from all of us throughout the session. This is a good topic today. It's basically how IDEA can work with your other software. Obviously, integration is always important when you're using any kind of tools and being able to share information back and forth, or at least to IDEA at this point. So just looking at an agenda, we'll talk a little bit about the types of links. Andrea will then jump in and kind of walk through some videos of demonstrations for the variety of different applications, kind of hitting on the major topics and software that are being used here in the US. And then, of course, finally, we will have some questions and answers. So actually, I just want to start with a poll. So I'm going to launch that. So, and the question is, how often are you using IDEA for steel connection design? So you have the three options there. So if everyone can just click on your vote, appreciate it. We'll give that a we'll just give that a couple more seconds here. Okay, that's the majority. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. And why don't we take a look at what the results were? So 22% of you said it's my only tool and that you love IDEA. Thank you, we greatly appreciate that. About half of you are only currently using IDEA for complex connections, and about a third of you are investigating IDEA and don't have it yet. So that's all very helpful, to kind of understand who we have on here, and just kind of better information. So as far as kind of the types of links that we have in IDEA, we're looking at analysis software. So that would be Staad, ETABS, SAP, TSD, RAM, RISA. So those are kind of the main tools that we link to currently that are used in the US. And then we also go over to the BIM or detailing side. And that's where we would be talking about Tekla structures, Revit, advanced steel. I know the one thing that's missing from that list right now is SDS2. We are definitely working on that solution to kind of link with that, and hope to have that in the very near future, as we're definitely partnering with them quite a bit on it. So with that, I will hand off to Andrea.
All right. Okay. So yeah. So thank you, David, for that introduction. I'll let you know when the next poll is required. Okay. So this is, as David mentioned, these two type of links that we have. I'll talk about them using some videos to show you how IDEA StatiCa works with it. All right. But firstly, I want to start with this slide talking about Checkbot. So Checkbot is the application that we are going to see today in all the demonstrations. Why? Well, it is our platform to translate all the information from other software to IDEA StatiCa connection. All right. In Checkbot, you will have the complete control over all the imported connections, forces, and model. So you can see here what we can do in Checkbot. I'll show you all these functions during the demonstrations, but in summary, well, you can synchronize your model from the other application, manage loads, merge or divide members, adding offsets as required, and of course opening and control all the connections from your model from the other software, so you can have a control of what is designed and if it's complying with the requirements or not. Okay, it's all from here. So this is our translator, and that's how we work with other softwares. So let's start with this first bunch of products that I'm going to show you how to link with IDEA StatiCa. But first, David will open another poll for you guys.
Jump in with another poll. So this is just kind of understanding what analysis packages the attendees are using. So we have kind of the major ones that we know of in the US. So you have the Bentley, the Ram and Staad products, RISA, CSI, ETABS or SAP, and TSD. And then finally in other category, just so we can catch all the other possible options. So again, I'll probably give that another 15 seconds. Okay, and I'll close it now. And let me share the results. So not surprising, it's a good distribution across everything. Right now, the Ram and Staad are the primary, the number one. RISA, other, which would be interesting to kind of understand if there's things that we are missing. Definitely feel free to leave a comment or question, if you wanted to mention what software you're using. And then TSD, also right up there. So with that, I will drop out of the poll again and back to Andrea.
All right, thank you. So, okay, so this good result. I am starting with the the Bentley, Staad.Pro, and ETABS and SAP. I am gathering those because those works similar in with Checkbot, right? So let's start with this video over here, okay? So I'll upload all these videos so you can review it and put stop and say it again where you need to, right? So the first thing showing here, I am showing the structure, this steel structure. I am using this model for all the other as well. So the first thing to do here is to install the plugin manually included in IDEA program files folder, right? In the coming weeks, we'll have a better installation process because this is going to be automatic, but it will work the same. So to do this installation, you have to go to Staad.Pro under Utilities tab and click on Configure. And then there you'll add a new menu item. You can put a name there. I am using IDEA StatiCa, and I am going to call the command file here, and that's under program files, IDEA StatiCa 22. And this is the initial directory. So you can put stop later and see where those files are. Okay, then you call Checkbot under user tools option here in Staad.Pro, and then that Checkbot application will open. Okay, the first thing to do is creating a new project. Okay, so make sure you select the correct design code because you cannot change this later, just if you delete it and change it again, right? You create the project, and then you need to go back to Staad.Pro and select the joins you want to import. I am showing here that we have results. Of course, you need to have this analysis run with all the information of results, of course, right? And then using the geometry cursor, you can select beams and nodes. So we need to select the node and the related elements there. So in this case, I am just selecting one joint and transferring that to Checkbot. So I go back to Checkbot and click on connections. So that will transfer all, the members that I select. Important, you need to select the node and related members. Okay, so you will see here the geometry, and the joint is going to be represented by this cube here. And then you will be able to control those connections from here. Okay, so here what I am showing as well is how to control the loads. So if you click on loads there in Checkbot, you will see the load cases imported and combinations. Then the second column is the result classes. So we automatically bring all the combinations in this result class. So that's where you can control what loads or load combinations are going to be used in the actual design of the connections, right? So all the combinations are located here in these result classes. If you want to add a load case, you can use, well, you can select it from here and use drag and drop option, and you will add those load conditions there, okay? Then if you click over this result class name, you'll have these options. You can change the name for that result class, and you can activate or deactivate this option that it's evaluate critical effects. So what is that option? When the option is selected, IDEA will select the critical cases to analyze connections from the load combinations contained in this result class. Okay, so IDEA will select for you the extreme cases. Okay, when the option is not selected, IDEA will use all the combinations contained in this result class, all right? So you may wonder how we select those, well, the critical cases, right? So I have this slide to explain that. So for every load case or load combination that is in that result class, the algorithm looks for the extreme positive and negative value of each of the 6 internal forces on every member. So let's say we have a connection with 4 members, as you are seeing here. So it finds 2 extreme positive and negative values for the 4 members for the 6 internal forces, all right? So that's how we select the critical values. Of course, this number is often lower since one load case will be critical for 2 members or the 4 members or 3 members. So that value of load cases selected will decrease a little bit. So that's how we select this critical effects, all right? Of course, you are always able to select which load combinations you want to use, and you unselect the critical effects option, all right? Okay, so let's go back to the model here. To open this connection, you can select the cube from the visualization area, right-click, and then open that connection. So that will call IDEA StatiCa connection. So the important part here is that you will have this joint with all the load effects, as you can see here, and then you can start your design using either the operations one by one or using a connection browser. So in this case, I am using connection browser. I am proposing one connection, well, one of the options we have here in IDEA StatiCa. I select that, and then you click OK, and then you can select the default value for the bolts and start your design. I mean, doing your own design here and running the analysis. So the good thing is that you will have results for all the load combinations you bring from Staad.Pro, so you don't have to worry about manual input all those loads. So when it is ready, you save this, and you will see that connection design, I mean, with the green check mark here, so you know that that connection is okay now, and you will see an image of the connection that you designed already. Okay, so let's say you want to add more joints in Checkbot. So you can select part of the structure or another joint or the full structure. In this case, I am selecting just part of the structure. Again, I am using geometry cursor here. So I want to send this to Checkbot. So I select them and I click on connections. So that will look for the selected elements. Some of the members are in map here, so the software asks me to map those correctly. I select the correct member or profile, and then we'll have all these connections that I select before. Okay. One thing that you can do here in Checkbot is that you can merge members that are continuous, for instance, because in Staad.Pro, where you have a node, those members are going to be, let's say, not unconnected, but they'll be cut. So you'll have non-continuous members. So you can select a member, and if it's aligned, you can click on merge option, and then selecting the member that it's next, and then you click OK. So you will have a continuous member when you open that connection or that joint. All right. Okay, so let's continue here with ETABS to show you how is the process to transfer the information. So again, you'll have to install manually the plugin, and that can be done under the Tools tab here in ETABS. So the plugin is, well, the files that you need to install that plugin are contained in the program files IDEA StatiCa, okay, with the installation. So in this case, I already have that plugin, but I am showing where to add that file. And then again, you call Checkbot, okay? So you call Checkbot, and again, you will need to create a new project. This project or this Checkbot file will be saved in the same location where you have the model, all right? Or in this case, the ETABS model. You go back to the application and select, again, nodes and members. In this case, I am selecting the full structure. You can do that. Of course, if it's a large model, it'll take a little bit, okay? And here you can see the full structure in Checkbot. So here I am showing that. Also, I am showing how to merge, for instance, those columns that you are seeing here, those are separated. So I click on the column, and then I click on merge, and you can merge those elements again, okay? Other thing that you can do here is adding offsets. For some applications, the offset is not read. So you can add those offsets over here. Let's say you want to move down a beam, you can select the member and you will have the eccentricity option over here, okay? So that can be done here, and you graphically will see that offset. The other thing that you can see here are the forces that were transferred. So you can draw forces in the visualization area. You'll need to select the force that you want to see, the load combination, and click on draw. Wireframe view is the best way to see those forces. So wireframe view option needs to be activated. And then once you have this draw button on, you click on any connection, so you will see the forces of the related members only. Okay, so you don't have a mess here in the visualization area. So again, wireframe view, select the force you want to see, select the combination you want to see as well, click on draw, and finally click on one connection. So you will see the forces of the related members, right? So I am showing that as well. And then another, well, finally in this video, what I am showing is that you can send connections to a separate file or project. Let's say you want to analyze this connection, or you just want one colleague to see just one specific connection, and instead of sending the full Checkbot project or the full file of Checkbot, you just send one joint, right? Or 4 joints, as I am doing here. So you can select connections, clicking on the cube and pressing Control key, so you can select more than one connection. Also, you will see which items you are selecting from here, okay? Then you right-click on those connections, and you can export to a single project. So in that single project, in that single file of IDEA StatiCa, you will get the 4 connections. So if you click on that file, or you open that one, you will see in this drop-down menu the 4 connections you selected in Checkbot. All right. So as I said, I am showing all the functionalities that you can do here in Checkbot, right? So what are the highlights of this? This link. Loads and geometry are transferred. The nodes and members keeps the same name from Staad.Pro to Checkbot. So the same name of the connection will be the same name of the node or node number, right? The same for ETABS and SAP. Okay. Synchronization is available if analysis or model is modified in the main application. Let's say you change something in Staad.Pro, you rerun the analysis, you can synchronize that from Checkbot. Okay, the plugin is called from the application, and you can send the full model or just some joints. Okay, what are the limitations? As you saw, we don't read the offsets, right? So you can add those in Checkbot like manually, but we don't automatically read that information from the application. Okay. Okay, so let's continue with Tekla Structural Designer. Okay, so let's see what I have here. So this is the video for Tekla Structural Designer. Okay, so the first thing to do here is going to the Connections tab here in TSC. And you can update the connections, so that is TSC recognizing all the joints, all right? So you right-click on Connections there, as you will see there, and you can update those. And also you will see the Export Connections to IDEA StatiCa option. That's the old way we used to do this link. Okay, so before Checkbot, we send like to a single file of IDEA StatiCa one connection or a group of connections. So in the latest version of IDEA StatiCa, now we have that Checkbot within TSC, but you need the latest version of IDEA StatiCa version 22.05, and the last service pack from TSC. Okay, so that is service pack number 2 from version 2022. All right, so latest versions of the software, and then you will have the option to export connections from TSC using Checkbot. Right, where is that new option? Well, you'll see that under Beam integration here, and clicking on IDEA StatiCa export will open Checkbot. Okay, but the first thing to do is using this Checkbot control panel for selecting the connections and selecting the analysis method. Let's say you have just the first order linear here or second order. So you select from here the analysis results you want to send to Checkbot with the connections, right? You can select loading to export, combinations or load cases, and also you can select connections from this list, but I think the best way to do it is graphically here in the structure. So you will see that you can select from one or multiple connections here in the model. All right, so that's what I am doing, selecting connections there, clicking one by one, or doing a square and selecting more than one. All right. So once you select those, you will see which are selected in this list. All right. So also, if you already open Checkbot and you send some information there, you will see which ones are already sent to Checkbot. All right. So once you're okay, I am just clicking on this information or instructions. Here you will find instructions to do that, so this is helpful in TSC, all right? Then once you have already all selected, you go and launch Checkbot. Again, you will need to create a new project, selecting the correct code, okay? And finally, you click now in connections because you already have selected the connections you want to import, okay? So we wait for it, and we get all the connections with the names from TSC, okay? So you can also rotate this model using the scroll button of the mouse. So it is useful to rotate this and select connections, select the cubes here in the visualization area, or just selecting from here. Also, I am showing here that you can manage the loads here in Checkbot from TSC. I open this connection, and in this case, I am using a connection browser using the propose button, but I am using the selection option. So in that case, you can select 3 members, and that will give you some some options for just those 3 elements. Then I am adding the connection. Of course, you will need to finish the other part, but you have everything here, all the loads. So I finished this design here. I save this connection, and you will see that connection analyzed in Checkbot. Okay, so you save that. You go back, and you will have this check mark. You will see a preview of the connection, and everything is fine. Okay. Then if you want to add a new connection from the model, you go back, and again, you select the connection. You use the square selection here, and you click again on connections, so that will bring that new selected connections. I didn't show you this, but if you also do a change in the main model, you can use this synchronization option. This synchronization for the full structural model. You can see here, this is a structural model sync option, or just for the current item, right? So if you do a change of this column, you can just click on the connection and sync that that connection. So that will modify the member. Okay. In this case, offsets are read from TSD, so we got that information there. All right, so here are some highlights and limitations. Loads and geometry, as you saw, we have an improved link with service package number 2 of 2022 version of TSD. You need to download that service package to see, well, to do what I do here. Now connections with braces are recognized also in that service package, and synchronization is available. And they have a really good article in the Tekla Support Center about how to do this process. I highly recommend to go and see that article. It is a step-by-step process. Okay, so I'll pause this presentation so you can open that link. What are the limitations? Data is just one way from TSD to Checkbot. Obviously, if you do a change in the main model, you can synchronize that, but that will be just synchronized in Checkbot. Okay. And the second limitation is that this current link cannot handle a huge amount of connection data. For instance, thousands of connections with hundreds of load combinations. For such a case, it is necessary to select an individual or group of connections to export. So instead of sending the full structure, we recommend to just select that adjoint that you're interested in and send that information. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to RAM, structural system. I already did a webinar where I am explaining this Beam link because this is just available with version 22 of IDEA StatiCa. So you will get that only if you download the latest version. And we always recommend that to avoid any error in the application, right? But this is going to be a quick video. So the process, it is kind of different because here you need to open first Checkbot. Okay, you come to IDEA StatiCa, and this is the initial screen, and you create a new project from here. Okay, so you click on Checkbot here, create a new project. Okay, and in that new project, you will see always these items here. So you click on RAM, so that will ask you for the RAM database, and then you open that, and you will bring the full structure. Okay, there is no option for partial selection, so that is actually one of the limitations, but you will have the same functionality in Checkbot as I showed you before in the other Beam links, right? So here are the highlights, loads and geometry as well. All the RAM structural system joints will be imported in Checkbot, okay? Offsets as well are imported. So top of steel is considered here, and it is available from version 22 of IDEA StatiCa. What are the limitations? One-time import, non-synchronization is available, okay, at this moment. Mapping is needed for some profiles, and there is no partial import, as I mentioned before, okay? So those are the highlights of it. Also, important things before importing this is that you need the database and RAM structural system closed and any analysis running in RAM structural system, okay? RAM frame analysis is required. Sometimes I have got some errors because the RAM frame analysis is not done, so we need that. We need that analysis. And also, you need to check this checkbox here that says write results to data extractor database. So that's on RAM frame. When you click on analyze, you will see that option. So it is important that you activate this option. The model should be safe once results have been completed. So this is important as well. And all elements should have a defined size. Okay. So this is important to take, well, to consider when you're transferring this this type of analysis. Also, we have a good article with the process. I recommend that you go to our site and type a RAM structural system in support center, so you will get that that article, right? Okay, so now let's talk about Reset 3D and the process of how to do this. I have first the highlights and limitations here. The way that we import Reset 3D files is through this SAF file. So you need to open Reset 3D, the model you are working on, and export that to this type of file, SAF. That will be an Excel file, okay? Only geometry and materials will be exported, okay? Or well, we only are going to read geometry and materials. What are the limitations? As I mentioned, no loads are imported because we are using the SAF. And that file, type of file, doesn't have the loads on it or the analysis results, okay? Also, there is no synchronization available and no offset information is transferred. Okay, so you will get just the geometry and materials, and that's it. So let me show how to do this. So again, in this case, reset 3D option, you will need to create a new checkbot file from IDEA StatiCa connection initial screen. So you go to this initial screen and open checkbot from here, and you create a new project, okay? And then this is like similar to the RAM structural system process. Instead of selecting RAM, you select SAF, okay? So you click there and you click on the Excel file that you export from Reset 3D, and then you open that. So it will look the same as the other links. You will get the connections here. You can add offsets as well if you select one of the members, and you can open those connections in IDEA StatiCa connection, but no loads, and any load will be there, so you will need to add those loads. I recommend to use the Excel and import and export for loads, so it's easier to add loads to those joints. All right. Okay, so now I'll speak about the beam links. So that is Tekla structures, Revit, and advanced steel. Okay, but before continuing on those, David is going to bring another poll.
Thanks, Andrea.
Here.
Yeah,
Yep.
we found to do polls in the webinar, so you're getting a bunch of polls this time. So this time we want to learn more about what you're using for BIM or detailing packages. So we'll leave that open for about a minute to kind of see where. And again, if you have any questions as we're going through this, feel free to drop those in the questions box there. All right, so I think we'll close the poll now. And let's show the results. Not surprising to me is that Revit is most used BIM software, followed directly by Advanced Steel or Tekla. Again, feel free to drop a note in the chat if you're using something else, just so we can be aware of it and see if there's an opportunity to kind of be able to create a link with one of those. So thank you for your answers, and I will hand it back to Andrea.
Thank you. I think it's the last one, so thank you for those answers there. This is helpful for us. And okay, so let's continue with the beam links. For the next ones, the installation of the plugin is an automatic way. So to make sure you have that, when you install the software, I think if you already use IDEA StatiCa, you have seen this screen, okay, where you activate your beam link. So you can call that again, going into IDEA StatiCa and going to the beam tab here, and you click activate your beam link. So this will detect if you have the application, and you can click here like to install it, but I in this case I already have that, because when I install IDEA StatiCa, I accept to install those plugins, right? So this is an automatic way. And here also you can see which are the supported versions of the software. So that is useful as well, all right? So I'm not showing how to install plugins because it's the same for Revit, Advanced Steel, and Tekla, as you can see here, okay? Okay, so now let's see this demonstration of Revit, okay? Okay, so when you open here a model Revit, you well, the first thing you need here is a connection, right? So that's why I'm zooming in this particular connection, because this is the one that I am going to show. So if you click there, a connection item is assigned to this, well, to this model, all right? So a connection needs to be modeled in Revit to work with IDEA StatiCa, okay? So you can see this step, well, the connection that was added for those members, and then you can call Checkbot from Revit. That is automatically installed, as I mentioned. So you call from the IDEA StatiCa tab, and then you click on Checkbot. Again, you'll need to create a new project here. Okay. Select code and create a new project. And then in this case, you'll have these two options to go and select into Revit. You have bulk option or one. I am using firstly one option. So that means it is only one connection selected. All right. So let me just go back here. When I get here in Revit, you will see instructions down here in the left side, bottom side of the screen. So I am doing a zoom here where it says select connection. So that is the first thing you need to select. Select the connection objects in this case. So I select the connection, as you can see here. Then I need to select the members. So always is recommended to select the support member first. And finally, you click on finish. Okay, so this is like a reminder. Select connection, select support member first, and related members then. And finally, click on finish. Okay, so in this case, as you can see, we're going to transfer the connection model. Okay, instead of just the members, here we are transferring the connection model. So that's why there are going to be different ways of selecting this model. Okay, so then you click on finish. Then you will be asked if you want to transfer the recommended wells. Let me go back to that part because I didn't show it here and put the stop there. When I click finish over there, this question will come. Do you want to import also recommended wells? So if I click yes, IDEA StatiCa will locate wells where wells are missing, okay? Between, let's say, connection from this tube to the plate, or yeah, wherever the weld is missing, IDEA StatiCa will detect that gap and will add a weld. You can review those, of course, and delete it or modify it as needed. Okay, so you click yes, and then the instructions are here again. And if something is not correctly mapped, IDEA StatiCa will ask you to map those. For instance, in this case, all the material wasn't mapped. So I am selecting those materials there, ball grade, and everything. And you click OK, and the connection will be transferred. Here you will see just the members, okay? But once you open the connection, you will see the model there in Revit. Sorry, in IDEA StatiCa connection, you will see the full model that you transfer from Revit. And again, it is needed to review the model. Here you will see that the full model is transferred. Load effects, we don't have load effects, as you can see here. Why? Because that Revit model doesn't have any load. Okay. If there is a case where you transfer the loads from other software, let's say Robot or other software that you can transfer loads to Revit, you can bring those, but just if you have the information there in Revit. Okay, and also we will have, well, I think we have that article in our site where that option, when you have the loads from Revit, are transferred. Okay. So then I go back here and I now using the bulk selection. Okay. So let me just, I click there on bulk option. Okay. In this case, 2 connections are here, one from the beam to the column in the web. So I am selecting all the connections first, then the members, then click finish. I am also asking for the recommended wells, and there you will have that connection. Okay, so you open that and you will have the model. In this case, you have the connection, but now, or let's say the model, now you have to add loads and then analyze this. Okay, so let's say you have a model, just the members, I mean the geometry model and material. I am showing here how to add connections in Revit. You can use a general connection and use that as a starting point. So the way to do that is that let's say I am going to add a connection here. You go to Steel tab and you click on Connections, Structural Connection Settings, and then you transfer all the available connections that Revit has to this list of loaded connections. Then you will be able to use those connections in your Revit model. So you select 2 members. There I am showing how many connections they have in Revit, right? So you select the 2 members, okay, that you want to connect, and you just click on connection. So a connection is added there. You can modify that connection from here in properties. So you click there and select the, let's say, one generic. In this case, I am selecting a share plate. So, but you can, if you don't know how to modify these details or whatever, you can use that as a starting point to bring that information to IDEA StatiCa. Okay, so you do the same process I already showed you, and then you open that connection here in IDEA StatiCa. So as I mentioned, use it as a starting point and use IDEA connection to do a detailed design, right? So you open that. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to delete all the operations that were transferred from Revit and use one operation that I know how to use here in IDEA StatiCa and how to modify that. You can see that. So I am modifying that operation. You get the nice cuts here and all that it's needed. Also, make sure you add loads, of course, and select the correct model type and force position. In this case, it's a share connection, sorry. So I am putting that shear force in the bolts, okay? And then I calculate this. So the objective of this demonstration is that you can use the connections as a starting point in Revit, and then you bring that information to IDEA and use IDEA to design the final connection. All right? Okay, so let's see what is the process for advanced steel. So again, you have that checkbot option in advanced steel. You select one option. You select the connection point, in this case, let's say the working point. Then you select the members. So I am always always select the support member first. Okay, And finally, you select all the connections items here in Advanced Steel. So these are the instructions. Select connection point, select support members first and related members then, select all the connections entities and press enter to confirm. Okay, that will bring the connection model that you modeled there in Advanced Steel. And you can, as I mentioned, use this as a starting point as well, and you can do modifications here in IDEA StatiCa. Okay, so that is up to you. For instance, that connection was really detailed, so you have the full detail there. You just need to add load effects and that's it. All right. Okay, so here are the highlights and limitations. The connection model is imported from Revit. If loads are modeled in Revit, also loads can be imported so that it's up to the user if they want to add the loads there in Revit and transfer that to IDEA StatiCa, or just type the loads in IDEA StatiCa directly. You can assign general connections and finish your design in IDEA StatiCa, as the second example I show you in the video. And well, the limitation is that a connection must be modeled in Revit. Okay, that's, let's say, a kind of limitation because we are transferring the model of the connection. And it is one-way link. We cannot transfer information back to Revit. Okay. Okay, so this is the final application that I am showing today. This is Tekla structures. Okay. With Checkbot. So the first thing to do here is enable the parse underline in view properties, okay? Because that will help me to select the correct node where all the members meet in the connection. So that can be modified in view tab here, view properties, and I am showing here how to do that. So I click there, then you can click on display, go to the advanced options, and activate parse and align here, reference line as well. I am selecting for all the members. You click on modify, apply, and OK. And then after that, you will see the center line of the member. So that is if you, well, I am zooming in here, then you change the rendering view. So you click the wireframe view, and after that, then you can call Checkbot and create a new project as always. This Checkbot plugin will be installed, as I mentioned at the start of the Beam Links demonstrations, right? It's going to be automatic way. Okay, so you call Checkbot there, and you create that project. Okay. Okay, so then what you need to do is selecting. I am going to select one option, so that will bring me back to Tekla structures. As I show you before in Revit, here also in Tekla structures, you will have the instructions in this side of the screen. Sorry, where that arrow is pointing. So the first instruction is to select the connection point. That's why I activate the center line. So here I am selecting midpoint of that beam. That's where I want to have the working point of this connection. Then selecting the members, and finally the parts of the connection. So these are the instructions here. Select node using reference lines or the working point. Press spacebar, then select support members first and related members after, plus spacebar, okay? And finally, select connection entities and confirm this with spacebar, okay? So then that will be transferred to Checkbot, and you can open that and you will see the full model there. Always review wells, because as I am showing here, the recommended wells wasn't working very well, because the age that was selected in that recommended well, you will see here, was 0, age index 0. So it was just matter of changing the edges, okay, and adding more loads. Another thing to remember is that you need to change the model type, okay, because that model type is something from IDEA. It is not from other software. So here, for instance, for the bracing elements, I am selecting the model type BYBC, sorry. So that is the model type for these elements, okay? And finally, add loads, because loads are not transferred from Tekla structures. So make sure you have everything correctly modeled here. You can run a first analysis just to see if everything is connected, and then you can calculate this connection. Okay, so you're seeing there, I am changing the model type and running this analysis. There you go, you will have results. It was just some little modifications over here, right? Okay. So highlights of Tekla structures. You get the connection model and geometry. Synchronization is available. If you modify something in the Tekla structures model, you can synchronize that. And here is a reminder of the process as well. Limitations, one-way link, but we are working in a two-way link for Tekla structures for next year, okay? Composite cross sections are not supported, so make sure, well, you map correctly into IDEA StatiCa that type of members. Some wells are not detected. As I show you, use recommended well option, but always make sure you review those wells, okay? The anchoring import is not supported, so the workaround is to just apply anchors in IDEA StatiCa, okay? And the bolt selection will be available in version 22.1 of IDEA StatiCa, that it's coming in the next weeks, okay? Also here I have some workarounds for limitations, so you will see that article that's on IDEA StatiCa. You will see how to fix some of the limitations from Tekla structures. All right. So that's it from me. Let's see if we have some questions.
Yes, thanks a lot, Andrea. Yeah, we only have a couple questions, so if anyone has any other question, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll be able to answer them during this webinar. The first one was, can we rename the connection in Checkbot? And the answer is yes. You just need to right-click on the connection name in Checkbot, and you'll be able to adjust the name of the connection. And another question that just came in regarding Tekla structures. What if the Tekla model has no connections? Can I still import the members, geometry, and joints from Tekla structures? Andrea, do you want to go over this?
Sorry, yes. I was about to answer right away. You need a connection in Tekla structures. So you can use auto connection, so that it's really easy to use. And you can use, as I mentioned in Revit, a general connection, and then transfer that to IDEA StatiCa, and then end your design correctly in IDEA StatiCa. But you must have a connection in Tekla structures to transfer that information to IDEA StatiCa. Okay.
Awesome. Good to know. Anyone else has any other question in the chat?
Well, Yeah, we'll give it a second, but I just want to thank everyone for attending. Hopefully this was helpful for you to be able to link your existing software to IDEA to kind of help save some time on your projects. If you have a question or if you think of something afterwards, please feel free to contact any one of us, as we'd be very helpful. We're more than willing to be helpful. Not sure we'll be completely helpful, but and with that, we're past the 1 o'clock hour. I know everybody has other things to do, so we will just go ahead and end the webinar. And again, thanks for coming. The next webinar will be at the end of October, October 26th, and we'll have a special speaker, Mike Denovit from the University of Tennessee. Will be discussing some of the verification research that he and his colleagues have been doing on IDEA StatiCa for the AISC code, just kind of doing comparisons between IDEA's results and code equations, etc. So don't miss that. And again, just thanks for coming and have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.